What's good, guys? Welcome to today's new episode. So, we are breaking down the fight night card, Emmet versus Murphy. We're going to start from the early prelims. We're able to tune in early and then go all the way to the main event. UFC fight night, Emmet versus Murphy. I believe, how many fights do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, I think usually we have 13 fights. We had 12. I did not make a prediction for this fight. I believe this was on short notice. So we're going to see if we're going to exclude this from our picks. So first fight up, Vanessa versus Talita. I believe we had Vanessa winning. I think she was coming off a win. She had 4 wins by submission, 4 in the first round. It went to decision. It felt like Vanessa gassed out pretty early. It just seemed like cardio was a big issue, especially entering the third round. You could tell Vanessa didn't have a lot of juice left, and it was way more significant strikes landed for Talita, and she gets the win. So next fight up, so we have Martin versus Uran. I believe Uran was undefeated at the time. We're going to double check that right now. Yep, he was 9-0. Mr. Gorilla himself also went to decision. Kind of a similar story, just way more significant strikes throughout the fight. Last fight, the first fight, it was a lot of the stuff that went to the ground. Talita did have more ground control, but when it came to any jiu-jitsu or grappling exchanges, Talita was on top. You would kind of expect Uran to make more of a presence, especially making his debut in the octagon short notice. I think Uriah Faber was in his corner. 9-0, a lot of hype, a lot of hype going into the fight. Martin was able to get a secure victory. Now, moving up the card, we have Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcao. And they're fighting in Vegas, so I don't think elevation was the issue, but this fight was also one where cardio played a huge role. Victor Henry did a great job of controlling the third round. From my memory, the first and second round were really back and forth. There were a lot of momentum switches throughout the fight, momentum changes throughout the fight. Good grappling exchanges overall, but by the end of the fight, Pedro had no more gas, bro. He was on E, he was swinging. I believe the last 30 seconds, he was just standing there, he couldn't really do much. The corner in Pedro's corner, though, they were hyping him up. They're telling him, exactly what to do. It just felt like he was just a little bit. He fell a little bit short. But shout out to Victor. He was able to land some good strikes. He had a significant power in the punches, and he had the braids on. So he was locked in. Victor, we ended up choosing him, so he was the first victory of our predictions. So Victor starting off the momentum there. Now going up to this next fight, Loma Luke Bumi versus Estela Nunes. Now, Estela Nunes was looking for her first victory in the UFC octagon. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Luka Bumi, only fighter from Thailand in the UFC, which I was shocked by, has over 100 fights in Thailand with these Muay Thai fights. So I had Loma winning. It was a lot closer than you would expect. Estela Nunes, she did a good job in the first round from what I remember. Second round, maybe towards the end of the first, she tried this heel hook. It really wasn't doing much. She spent a lot of time kind of in this cross ashi. Wasn't doing a lot of damage. Loma did look uncomfortable. She did have a straight ankle lock for a little bit, but the technique just wasn't there. So it did catch Estela by surprise when the decision was made. She was 100% confident that she won, but Luke Bumi did have more significant strikes and was able to secure the win. Now, performance of the night. Now, if you guys watched our prediction video, we actually changed our pick here. At first, we had Daniel Frunza from Romania. We're looking at some highlights and all right, we'll go for Daniel. But we changed our mind. We looked at Reese McKee's highlights, and we changed our pick, man. And this fight ended up winning performance of the night. Reese McKee, the Skeletor, was putting on the pace. I believe he knocked down Daniel 4 times in that first round. It was early. Reese McKee stayed calm. He didn't spend all of his gas tank trying to get the finish. Some of them he didn't take a lot of juice to knock him down. I think I saw a meme where it's he was on 1 HP and a little jab, knocked down Daniel, and it was rough, bro. It was rough, and he ended up splitting his lip wide open. and the announcers really didn't notice the lip until they zoomed in on it, and it was like a huge slit on the top of his lip. And Daniel, you could tell like that made him very uncomfortable. He kept on playing with his lip, with his tongue. Doctors ended up stopping the fight. Reese McKee with his first win in the UFC, so that was kind of the main story going into this fight. Reese McKee has not gotten a win. He was close. He had some tough competitors. He went against 2020 Hamzat Chimaev for his debut. So they really threw him to the sharks there. So welterweight fight. There's plenty of good matchups that could be out there for Reese McKee, and I'm excited to see more of Reese McKee. He seemed like an exciting fighter, lengthy, wiry. He was entertaining to say the least. His walkout song did kind of throw me off a little bit. I'll see if I can throw that in the video.
And really, I think what Reese is going to want to focus on is his defense, not getting hit with shots early in this fight. In the first round, we have 8 wins by KO for front.
I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know, but he was able to get the job done. Now, last prelim fight of this card, we had Diana Belbita versus Dion Barbosa, and you could tell by the odds, man. She was a plus 650 entering this fight. Barbosa, the Witch, is her nickname. I think the Warrior Princess is Diana's nickname. It was rough, man. I believe Dion is a judo black belt, super athletic, and she was able to get the win via arm triangle. Set it up very nice. Diana did kind of close the distance. She has more of like a wild style, like a head down type of I want to say Dricus du Plessis, but it's kind of similar to that type of style. Barbosa really just put on a class act. Once she got her to the ground, set up the katakatami, set up the arm triangle, and it was lights out. She tapped and she secured the victory. Now to the main card. There's a lot of controversy for the boy Torres Finney versus Robert Valentin. More of a Bilal and Mario Batista performance. Seemed like this one was just against the cage. A lot of control. Dana White has not been a fan of Finney's style, but he was able to secure the win. Torres Finney averages 10 takedowns per 15 minutes. He's 11-0, 5 first round finishes. It's just if you saw any videos from MMA Guru, he's not a fan of this type of style. So this went to decision. A lot of people were saying should have went the other way. But if we look at the total strikes here, I don't know if you guys could see. If my face is covering it, it says there was 17 total strikes for Finney, 93 for Valentin, but 8 takedowns for Finney. So it depends on the judges on how they view takedowns. Takedowns make a huge part of the scoring system for the judges, but at the same time, 17 strikes compared to 93, it's hard to defend that, So now, let's talk about the picks that we had. Yeah, we had Luke Boomy, McKee, we had Barbosa. So we had 3 in a row. We also had Finney. So we're on a hot streak. I'm not gonna lie. We had 4 in a row. I was feeling it. I'm like, okay. Now Ode Osborne was the underdog on this fight. I believe Lewis was undefeated, 10-0. Dana White Contender Series prospect. Ode Osborne, his last performance was in the Sphere against Ronaldo Rodriguez, which was a close fight. He almost ended the fight very early in the first round. So I was like looking out for Osborne just because that was impressive performance. Nevertheless, Ode Osborne was able to secure a knockdown, a win via TKO. There was kind of a little awkward moment as soon as he knocked down Luis, kind of like a Jalen Turner type thing where they knock him down and they look and they wait. It's kind of like it's an interesting position to be. It's like if you knock someone down, you look at him, there's a potential risk where this guy's just going to get back up and the fight continues, or if you keep on going, you could do a lot of damage potentially to the person. Ode Osborne knocked him down, waited, and then he was able to get in that turtle position and land a few strikes in between Luis's guard, and was able to secure the win. So this was an interesting pick. We had Ode. He was the underdog going into this fight, and we ended up picking that one correctly. So shout out to Ode Osborne. Flyweight is a tough division. And especially being a undefeated fighter is a difficult task. So we had 5 in a row going in there. Going up the card, we had Brad Tavares versus GM3. Now GM3, we're expecting a submission, man. 37 wins, 19 losses, 29 wins by submission. Now, I was also listening to MMA Guru's kind of live stream, and he was saying that GM3 turns it up on the 3rd round. So I'm like, all right, we'll just wait till the third round and see what happens. See if we could freaking see something happen. Fight went to decision, total strikes. It's fairly close. It wasn't the most entertaining fight by any means. This is a middleweight fight. Might see Tavares versus Finney. Could be a good matchup, but like I said, it wasn't the most entertaining fight. Went to decision. Moving up the card. Let's just say that. Moving up the card. We had Cortavius Ramois versus Chang Ho Lee. I like saying Chango just because Chango is just funny to say. But Chang Ho Lee. So I think Michael Bisping called him the Korean Habib, which was interesting. But I was actually a fan of his style. He did get a little bit too high on the back at times and was able to slip off. But Cortavius, he fought the fight, bro. He fought the fight. He was getting a lot of damage on ground and pound, like I said, with the Korean Habib. Chango was just really on top of him, laying him flat on the back and just landing just a multitude of strikes, to say the least. Ended up securing the win via TKO. There was kind of a little moment where there was a low blow. Cortavius had the option to wait a little bit longer, but he's like, let's get it. And then they got it, and the fight ended fairly shortly after that. So good performance by Chang Ho. So Chang Ho Lee, 11-1, 30 years old, fairly young in the UFC. So I'm excited to see what's next for him in the bantamweight division. That bantamweight division, bro, it's scary. It's a scary division, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Now, for the co-main, we had Pat Sabatini versus Joe Anderson Brito. We had Brito on this. He was the favorite. This fight ended up going to decision, and it was pretty one-sided, to say the least. A lot of us were kind of surprised on how Sabatini was able to control the fight. 135 total strikes for Sabatini compared to Brito's 27, and Sabatini was also able to secure 4 takedowns during the fight. So pretty one-sided. It did go the distance, but it was a dominant performance for Sabatini, and we did get that pick wrong. And speaking of wrong picks, we have Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. Now, I was thinking Josh Emmett is going to cook. He was going to CPI, getting these stem cell treatments, taking over a year off. Kind of interesting for him to do that in his career, but he is older. He has been fighting for over 10 years or around 10 years. I believe his debut was in 2016. So I was expecting a different Josh Emmett in here, but Lerone Murphy was able to just technically be in the fight the whole time. He really took away a lot of Josh Emmett's power and his strikes. He was able to defend him and use his footwork to open up opportunities on the feet. If we look at the stats here, we had 117 total strikes for Murphy compared to 44 for Emmett. But Emmett's every strike, it's a knockout. It's a knockout punch. So I feel like the volume and the way he positioned himself around the cage, I believe in the second round, there was a huge takedown for Emmett. But throughout the fight, it just seemed like Emmett started wearing down a little bit. Murphy was able to stay in there and just put on some volume, which ended up him getting the decision win. So, pretty one-sided, to say the least. I was really surprised by this. We ended up going 8-12 on our picks. So the main things that I really noticed is Reese McKee with this dominant performance. A lot of people weren't really expecting him to get a win. It's kind of huge for him, especially if you're in the UFC, you haven't got a win, you're potentially going to get cut. Kind of had to open up different opportunities, and Reese McKee was able to get that done. Also, Barbosa with his arm triangle finish, awesome. Ode Osborne was able to get the upset against an undefeated fighter, and Chang Ho Lee. He did have some mistakes during the fight, but it did seem like a dominant performance for him. So Lerone Murphy's continued to be undefeated, and he was able to even talk trash to some of the fans out there who were booing him. It seemed like he didn't mind it. So the featherweight division is also pretty stacked, and he was ranked number 10. So he's probably going to go up maybe one spot or so with this win. And I'm not sure what's next for Emmet. He was kind of like in title contention. If he was able to get this fight, people are going to be like, he might get the winner of between Volk and Diego. But there's a lot of stuff going on. So overall, I would rate this card 6.5 out of 10. It was a fight night card. There was some notable names, some good moments in the card, I'm not gonna lie, but kind of not the most exciting stuff. So hopefully soon we could start getting some bigger matches, especially for these fight night cards. Some of them are stacked, like the one we had in China. The one in Mexico is really good. This next one that we have in Iowa, I believe, with the Corey Sandhagen and Figueiredo, that one also going to be good. So it just depends on where the fights are at, the apex. I feel like having the crowd there does make a huge difference in kind of the energy levels inside the gym. But we gotta let the UFC know. So if you guys have any suggestions for the UFC on what they should do, let me know in the comments down below. Appreciate all of you guys. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's episode. We out.